Bizarre Brain Comics. Don't yield, back shield. Hello. Gary here for Bizarre Brain Comics. This is where I like to examine comics as art and literature. Try to break down the art. Give a view into the creator's mind, as it were. And last time around, we talked about Sergeant Fury and his Howling Commandos. So this time around, we're going to talk about Nick Fury, Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. And what we're going to talk about here is a story in this particular issue right here, issue 1 of Nick Fury, Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. Now this is a reprint from 1983. It was originally, I think, as a 2-issue reprint miniseries. They used to have number 2, but I seem to have mislaid it over the years. But it doesn't matter because I've got the same material in other reprint form. And the story we're going to talk about here, like I said, Nick Fury, Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. Where before he was Sergeant Fury, the blustering, cigar-chomping, tough as nails sergeant of an elite commando squad, to Nick Fury, the eye-patched, blustering colonel, cigar-chomping colonel, and director of an elite spy organization. So, and the story we're going to discuss is the famous and very well regarded segment called "Who is Scorpio?" written and drawn by the great Jim Steranko. Here we consult the big book of knowledge. See, Nick Fury, Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. He first appeared in Strange Tales number 135, which also featured Doctor Strange. Therein, the organization S.H.I.E.L.D., S-H-I-E-L-D, an acronym, was first introduced as Nick Fury, formerly Sergeant Fury and his Howling Commandos, became the director and top spy for the organization. And the feature was created by Jack Kirby and Stan Lee. And some of Nick's World War II comrades were also agents, such as his number 2, Dum Dum Dugan. And S.H.I.E.L.D. was commissioned to fight evil organizations bent on world domination, such as the Nazi-descended Hydra, and later their offshoot AIM, as well as various other villains and threats over the decades. With issue 151, the series was helmed by Jim Steranko, whose art and writing brought the book to commercial and critical prominence. Fury's World War II enemies, such as Baron von Strucker and Zemo, cropped up as major nemeses. They were also in Hydra. Of course, in later decades, Hydra was backfit or retconned to World War II as a special organization within Nazi Germany, within the Nazi hierarchy. Okay, now Jim Steranko, and he started. I couldn't find his date of birth, but it must have been 30s. He started as a stage magician in his teens, working in carnivals and circuses, and eventually becoming a fire eater on a sideshow. In school, he competed in gymnastics, boxing, and fencing. In his 20s, he began working in nightclubs and became a musician. And his day job was as an artist for a printing company in Reading, Pennsylvania. He was born and raised in Pennsylvania in the coal mining areas. And interested in comics, he toured the DC comics offices, where he was given a tour by Julius Schwartz, and who was one of the big writers and editors there. And he was given a comic strip. I said that wrong. He was given a copy of a comic script. That was for a story of Adam Strange. And from that reading and rereading and working on that script, he learned an awful lot. He said it was the first full script he had ever read, had ever seen. He worked as an inker for a while at Vince Colletta's studio. And then he got assignments at Harvey Comics, and there he created a few superheroes for Harvey, such as Spyman. And based on some sample pages that he had drawn, Stan Lee put him on Nick Fury. And there, initially, he was finishing pencils over Jack Kirby's page layout. This would be the panel breakdowns and light pencil indications of what is supposed to be going on in that panel, and then he would go over and do completed finished pencils before the inker got a hold of it, letterer and inker. And when he took over the writing and art chores, he introduced a new dynamic page layout and style of storytelling. He incorporated collage and psychedelic design, which Jack Kirby was also doing, but he did it in a slightly different way. He incorporated that into his page layouts, and this brought him popularity and comic stardom. Now, I gather he had a reputation for being a very meticulous and perfectionist, and he was often late on his deadlines. This is the way I understand it. I could be wrong. I don't know. I wasn't there. And so he didn't work in the comic industry directly for too many years. And later he went on to graphic design. He did painted some book covers, some of which I bought just for the cover and never ever got around to reading. And this was in the 70s. And he became a comic book historian and wrote a 2-volume set of the history of comics. So he was very versatile, and I guess he always looked young. He's got to be in his 80s now, and in the most recent photographs I've seen of him, he still looks young. He's got a full head of white hair, well coiffed, good looking man, and he still looks youthful and strong. So, take another drink of my tea, and let's get into Jim Steranko's version of Nick Fury, Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. Here we are, Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D., Nick Fury, Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. Oh, I forgot to put down my cigar. And this is a Steranko cover. He was very popular. He did many popular covers. I want to show you this, though. This is neat. It's a wraparound cover. This is great. Fury. This is the Contessa. Here's Dum Dum Dugan. Jasper Sitwell. I think this is Gabe. I can't remember his last name. He was also in the Howling Commandos. And this character here, the Asian guy, is Jimmy Woo, who was previously an FBI agent and fighting against the Red Claw, the Yellow Claw, who was a kind of a Fu Manchu type villain for Atlas in the 50s. Okay, and before I can show you a few others, these are also all reprints. This is primarily from the this isn't, but he did the, and this is when the title was changed to Nick Fury and his Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Another wonderful Steranko cover. Very dynamic, action-packed, well-designed. Listen to. It's like they had a tendency to do stuff like movie posters. And that sure looks like a movie poster here. So there's Dum Dum Dugan again and Gabe. And there's a couple of earlier ones. And these were reprinted covers. I think that were used on the earlier volumes of Strange Tales. And then here we have a couple of volumes, different volumes, reprinting. Okay, both of these reprint the story that's in here. Again, it's very iconic movie poster style, and you can see the collage, the psychedelia work in the design of that, and that is a very famous image, as well as this. This is the original cover design to the story that we're going to talk about. All Steranko. All Steranko all the time. Oh, I wanted to show you this. This is a very famous page. It's except for the one little bit of caption up there in the corner. It's entirely silent. And it's just Fury and the Contessa. They're romantically involved. And from what I understand, when this page was originally submitted, this last panel was different. That's this one. Oh, that is it. That is the original panel. Oh my gosh. Then the other one must be in the other book. And it was considered, this page layout, that last panel was considered too suggestive. Now, if I can find it here, find that same page in here. Or is it in here? I think it's in here. Yeah, it's in here. There we go. As it was now you saw that one had a very passionate embrace of the two, and the editors considered that too suggestive. So that last panel was changed to this one here of a gun and a holster, which is even more sexually suggestive than that original panel that they rejected. If you don't get it, think about it a little bit. Okay, here we go. Look at this very striking image. Who is Scorpio? Now look at crashing waves at the base of this building, on the rocks that this building is constructed, and then you see the small figure climbing up, and completely silent. Here you see the figure. Look at the extreme perspective, especially here, the extreme distorted perspective on that figure makes that simple drawing very much more dynamic and eye-catching. There he is sleeping down there, and look at that face, that great face. It looks like he based his version of Fury on himself, because that is Steranko. And it's Fury, and he's sneaking in this place, distracting the guard with something. Takes out the guard, but what's this? Oh, someone behind him coming up through the floor, and he's shot. Boom! There he is, blood splatters, lays dead, and turns out the assassin is What the heck? That's Fury. And there he is talking over the radio with Dum Dum Dugan. It was a test filled to see if LMDs, life model decoys, which were basically robots designed to look and act like specific individuals, would be used as field agents. Well, he got pretty far, but that didn't work very well. But then what's this? Little doodad on the floor. It's a thing with a scorpion on it. The symbol of the zodiac sign Scorpio. Then we change scenes here to a nightclub in San Francisco. And here's this lousy comedian on stage, and his boss is all but ready to fire him, really saying how terrible he is. And this guy's name is Flip Mason, kind of like a combination of Jackie Mason and Flip Wilson. And then they have go-go dancers, and there's a band performing on stage. That's kind of like where Steranko used to work in his youth, huh? And there's these guys here, and he's concerned about these guys in the background because he owes a lot of money to this gangster right here, who just so happens to bear a strong resemblance to the guy we just saw, that comedian we just saw. His name is Hackett, and he's got a job he's got to go do. He's going in Vegas. And here we see Fury with the Contessa on the street, and they're talking about it. First, the weather. Look at the design here. He's known for being very cinematic. Look at the detail in that gun. It's like he was holding it right there and just drew it. Wouldn't be surprised if he were. The great details that he put, meticulous detail that he put into his books. And then we change, because they're talking about who is Scorpio? What's the deal with the Scorpio thing? Nobody knows. Said they got in here. Go to another scene. This race car driver is on the scene. There's an accident behind him, and he goes through, and he comes through and wins. Look at the design. Look at the overall design on that page. And a nice transition from this overhead panel to this side view with the flag in the winner's circle. And here he is getting his prizes. And then we see this guy has got the tattoo, the Scorpio. And here we change scenes again. Look at this. All this weaponry and power. And here we got this bizarre design. This is, they're testing a new defense system, personal defense system, trying all these weapons against Fury out in the Nevada desert. But the way that is done and represented, it is just very psychedelic, very, very bizarre. And then here we come over here to this page. This is after the test. He's talking with Dum Dum Dugan. Look at all the gizmos and stuff he's got on his uniform. And yeah, they're going to do. Oh, and here we see this guy here. He's got the Scorpion tattoo. And this is in Las Vegas, in a building in Las Vegas. See, Las Vegas shows up here. So he's there's Fury taking his time. He's got a little time to kill out there in the desert, and he's thinking about Scorpio because they're going to test with the thing with a missile. Going to come down on him. So if it doesn't work, it kills him. Nothing goes in or out of this personal shield. But suddenly, what? He notices the breeze. Well, it can't be a breeze, so he tries to contact the control in Vegas, and there's no response. So he contacts another group out of there and to get control, because he's just very close to this test facility here, where they test astronaut testing on rocket sleds. Just remember, this is in the 60s. And he races, and he gets them to start up the rocket sled remotely, and he just catches on just in time, which gets him out of there just before that missile comes down and would have killed him. Then we see here, back at the control, everyone's unconscious, but who's this shadowy figure? And then it's just a short time later. Look at this! The the great detail, even though it's all fantasy on this motorcycle, he crashed through the walls on. It's a rocket bike. And there's Fury just blazing away, blasting, and there's Scorpio. The first time we actually see him, and everyone is either dead or unconscious. Well, I won't say they're unconscious because we know that, but it's mentioned. But smashes through, and the figure. Look at that figure. I mean, just standing there, it's very dynamic. Got this weird gizmo in his hand, and just like that, just come busting through. Very dynamic, great anatomy. You can still see some strong Kirby influence in his art, as his own style is still developing more. But this is some classic stuff. Now they're confronting one another, and he says he's after vengeance, but Fury doesn't know anything about vengeance. He doesn't know who this guy is, but he gets the Contessa out of the way of the conflict, and then we change scenes again. This is still in Vegas, and here we have a collage. This panel here is a collage of images from the Vegas Strip, and here we see the guy who is that comedian. He's sweating bullets. He just lost the last of his money, but then here comes this guy up with calls him by a different name, Hackett. That's funny, Hackett, and is going to give him $200,000 because he's to go do a job. He doesn't bother to correct him when he hears the $200,000. He walks right by the real guy, Hackett, on the way out. And here Hackett and the guy meets up with the guy he thought, well, let's just give it to you. He says, and they get into a gun battle in the casino. Now back to Fury's battle. Again, look at this, the way this was done. This gizmo that he's got some kind of energy weapon, blasts Fury down, but Fury's not out, and he comes back. Look at that, dynamic, very dynamic, and great anatomy, and because remember he was a gymnast, so he knew how to do that. In an odd position, but manages to get his legs around Scorpio and cleans his clock, but not permanently. Here, those two gangsters are in a running gun battle out in the street, just outside the facility that they're fighting in. And while he's just about to unmask Scorpio and maybe find out who he is, if I can pick up the page, Fury is hit by a stray bullet from that running gun battle out there. See, and that's how these two threads come together. And it allows Scorpio to knock out Fury because he hit by that stray bullet, but he realizes that he's in trouble. He can't fulfill his mission, and he takes off. He's got a hidden ship out there. And here's another prime example. That whole page layout. Again, of that extreme perspective. And I've seen others imitate it and make fun of it. Respectfully make fun of it. That extreme perspective as he climbs up to his waiting ship. And as this is going on, and Fury's trying to get out after him. Meanwhile, those two gangsters have shot each other, and one guy, Hackett, without realizing what he's doing, he thinks it's a threat to him. He takes a pot shot at the ship, and happens to, again, how those two storylines cross thread. And happens to hit a vulnerable spot on that ship. Okay, the agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. are awake now, and here's the Contessa wanting to give Fury aid. He says, no, I'll live, Val. Quick outside. Gunshots. Scorpio's getting away. But as the S.H.I.E.L.D. agents peer skyward, the escape ship plunges toward Earth, filling the heavens with billowing clouds of black death and flowing the desert floor with a nerve-searing explosion. Very purple prose, very descriptive, and they're a beautiful rendition of what was just described. And holy cow, she gets a jacket on Fury, the Contessa Valdez. Encourages got to get him to a doctor to get that wound seen to. And here we are back with the comedian. He's into just a block or so away, getting into a payphone, going to call his wife because He's got it made now. He's got 200 grand. He's going to be able to pay off all his gambling debts. When there he is, imagining the image, the way that was done, very, very unique, of his wife and little kid, and his daughter, being represented in his mind. And then, boom. Well, it turns out that that wasn't $200,000 in that case. It was a bomb, and he is just blown to pieces. Oh my gosh! It takes Fury by surprise, and they're all sitting there. I wonder what all that was about. It couldn't have been having to do with Scorpio, because he couldn't have got out of that explosion. Then here we go with again a photographic image of the city, and now here we go. The whole layout there with that telephone cord dividing the panels like that, come down and says, "Another 50-cent deposit, 50 cents, please." There's the operator on the other end of that line after the guy was blown to smithereens. And it rained most of that day and far into the night. And that's the end of that story. And here again is that original Shield cover. Here's for the next story. This is when the character Jimmy Woo was introduced. This is real interesting, very interesting, and good storyline, page layout. It's all very, very fast paced. Sometimes it's kind of hard to follow the threads because it's kind of compressed. Each one of these stories could be a full issue or more instead of a half issue. But here's Jimmy Woo having to fight that later, and here's that page we talked about again. And I didn't realize when I pulled that page from the other book that had the original cover. I like this one. I like that image better, just because it is more suggestive. And this gets into some weird stuff, some movie making, and his, like I said, his pacing is very, very quick paced, panel to panel continuity. But it's great page design, like this double page spread, something weird on this island. And here we go, some filmmakers, and I believe these filmmakers show up in other Marvel stories, like involving monsters, because this is some stuff here I'm not sure if it's supposed to be real. I'd have to reread it again. I don't know what it's going to be. Yeah. Dinosaur. I think it's a fake mechanical dinosaur that they're using in the movie. Star has to ends up saving Fury, and here we go, Kong, and it's like the original King Kong. Oh, it's great. Look at that. That's great. Great image. That alone could be a movie poster. They're so good at that kind of stuff, and that's, besides being dynamic, that's what he was so well known for. Again, collage and psychedelic. Some interesting, again, some iconic page layout, and that extremely sexy female figure. Okay, and then some later years. This is when it was, at first glance you think, oh, is that Steranko? No, this is Herb Trimpe, or Herb Trimpe, when he was doing Nick Fury, but he was imitating the Steranko style and technique. And of course, this is a reproduction here of the very first Nick Fury Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. cover from Strange Tales. There it is, as it appeared. And this was drawn by Jack Kirby. And you can kind of see it's a strong similar. I always see a lot of Kirby influence in Steranko, but then, like many artists, he evolved beyond that. It was very good, great pacing, great storytelling, great anatomy. I like the layout on these covers. The layout on these covers, it's just wonderful. I'll show you these again. It's just great. Magnificent. Okay, I hope you like this. That's all I got on this for now. Oh, probably. See, Steranko also did a couple issues, very famous issues of Captain America, and Captain America appeared in many of the stories several of the stories that Steranko drew for Agent of Shield. So that's all I've got for now. Hope you enjoyed it. Remember to like it. If you did, share it with other comic book friends or people or our friends, just people interested in Steranko. It's great Steranko art. And like, share, and subscribe if you haven't already. Please help me out. And this is running long. Thank you very much for joining me. And remember, comics are art.